Boycotting's kind of been easy for me these last years, decades even. Almost all of the things on the boycott list are things I would never drink, eat or put on my face. Unguents, creams, perfumes are not for me. I'm a man of my age and class. I'd never eat a Happy Meal. I can't think of anything that would make me less happy than eating a Happy Meal. I don't drink and never have drunk fizzy drinks that are the equivalent of a cup full of sugar. So it's all been easy for me, but now it's got difficult. I am one of Britain's biggest customers of Adidas. And this week, you'll see me putting it on the bonfire. I'm not calling on you to do that, because if you've already bought it, well, that'll just have to be placed to one side. But I am, tonight, launching a nationwide boycott of Adidas, and I hope to persuade you to join me. And as a father of 5 young children, most of them super sporty, I can assure you that I spend many hundreds, if not thousands of pounds a year on Adidas gear. No more, because a state of war now exists between me and them. It was always the case that this company was one that we should have supped with a very long spoon. Founded by a prominent member of the German Nazi Party. Indeed, 2 founding members of Adidas, brothers. One of the brothers went off to form Puma, but let's leave Puma alone, at least for the minute. Adolf, what else would he be called? Adolf Dassler joined the Nazi Party in 1933, and his company was made great, as was others, Mercedes-Benz amongst them, by their close relationship with another Adolf Hitler, the Nazi mass murderer, genocider, who went on to massacre tens of millions of people in the Holocaust of the Second World War. They were big on sport, you see, the Nazis, and Dassler was just the man to rig them out. But that, notwithstanding that history, I did continue to purchase their goods. They were somehow attractive to me, and I was somehow the father of children who found them attractive and useful in their sporting endeavors, but no more. The decision that Adidas made to sack Bella Hadid, the fragrant rose of Palestine, when they had already commissioned her, and I'm sure already paid her, to be a face of a retro line of 1970s Adidas products, because she was a Palestinian, one who would not renounce her nationality, one who proudly flew the flag for Palestine. Adidas did this. They sacked her under the pressure of the Zionist lobby, and somehow I immediately felt that this was the line behind which we would no longer be prepared to retreat. Bella Hadid is the hill I'm going to die on. Bella Hadid is the last straw. Bella Hadid must be defended. Adidas must be brought low. They must be taught a lesson that there are many more of us than there are of the supporters of the genocidal, increasingly openly fascist regime of Benjamin Netanyahu and the now official apartheid state, designated by the world's highest court as an apartheid state, an illegal occupier, which must vacate all of the territories that it holds in breach of international law, which includes not just Gaza, but not just the West Bank, but East Jerusalem also. all specifically named. Get out, illegal settler regime. Get out, apartheid regime. This is it. This is the battle line. Drawn. We're standing here, and we intend to win, just like the people of Yemen, the bravest people on the earth. The most heroic country on the earth are the people of Yemen, thousands of miles away from Palestine, who are ready to die to the last man, to be the only country in the world that is ready to give its own blood to defend the people, women, children, men in Gaza, still being slaughtered at an industrial rate in an obviously genocidal frenzy of murder, mutilation, and national humiliation and degradation. The Yemenis are a poor but proud people, the poorest people on the planet, the proudest people on the planet. So I stand with Yemen, do you? I stand with Bella Hadid, do you? I'm launching tonight from this pulpit here a nationwide, and you should make it a campaign in your own nation. I can't be responsible for people in France going along to watch Israeli athletes, their hands dripping with blood as they throw the javelin in Macron's discredited Olympic Games. I can't be responsible for the public in the United States, but I am responsible for taking on the burden of persuading the British people to make a boycott like no other boycott of Adidas products, so that they feel the pain, some of the financial pain at least, that the Palestinian people have suffered. Adidas, the day that you decided to brazenly begin to embark on a policy of propagandizing for Netanyahu and his murder gang, is a day that I intend to make you regret for the rest of your miserable corporate lives. Down with Adidas. Starting now, my boycott has begun. So should yours, and my bonfire of my previously purchased Adidas clothes will be televised live over the next couple of days. That is if the rain in this global boiling July summer ever stops falling, at least where I am. But it never rains, but it pours, doesn't it, Joe? I told you more than a year ago here on this show and over again that they could not possibly run Joe Biden because his cognitive decline was so severe, so sharp, so precipitous that they would be heading into the valley of electoral death at the hands of their nemesis, Donald Trump, if they persisted in putting this man up. I believe this show was one of the first outlets in the world that began to raise the specter of President Kamala Harris. Cackling Kamala Harris. Laughing gas Harris, who's thanked for her service in Joe Biden's resignation letter, but pointedly is not endorsed as his successor. It would be the obvious thing to have done. And obviously, when he didn't do it, it's because he intends to support someone else. And that someone else is Hillary Clinton. With all of our crimes, all of our blunders, dripping with all of our condescension, it's my turn, the most qualified in history to be president. All of her lack of common touch, her baskets of deplorables. That dress that she wore at the Tonys, on your screen now, somewhere in Ohio, there's a Holiday Inn missing its shower curtain. I knew that night when I saw it. I saw her appearance at the Tonys. I brought it to your attention on the show that weekend. Remember? I told you, why would the Tonys be bringing out Hillary Clinton in the wardrobe she looted from Muammar Gaddafi? It's because she is the candidate, not Big Mike, still less cackling Kamala. It's Hillary Clinton. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Because this means that for the American deep state, this is Armageddon. This is no ordinary election. This is the ultimate battle. I don't know which of them could best be described as the Antichrist, but this is the prism through which it's going to be seen, and it is a zero-sum game. There can be no coming together in America with Hillary Clinton flying the flag for the donkey party and Donald Trump flying the flag for the elephants. So strap yourselves in. This is going to be the mother of all presidential election campaigns, and the loser doesn't just lose all, but America might be on the point of war. If this election is rigged, as I believe the election of 2020 was rigged, if it is rigged, then the forces behind a twice cheated Donald Trump, a man who cheated death in the most obvious deep state conspiracy to murder I've ever seen, even in fiction. 1, 2, 3, 4 shooters, one on the water tower, one on the roof, a sloping roof. Can't put guards up there, they might fall off. We'll put them inside the building with the sloping roof instead. We'll put a Secret Service detail on Donald Trump that you wouldn't ask to guard the dodgems in the fairground of a traveling show. Midget women who don't even know how to holster their weapon were tasked with protecting the front runner in an American presidential race. They hope to solve the problem of Donald Trump by lawfare, by putting up adult entertainers to entertain us with tales of his small hands. They hoped that they could put him behind bars on mortgage fraud. They hoped that all of this humiliation would reduce his standing amongst the electorate, and yet they found that with every mugshot, every kangaroo court, his power grew greater, not lesser. They tried to kill him, and they failed in every endeavor, leaving only the deployment of the thermonuclear weapon that is Hillary Clinton. Stand by, folks. It's going to be the mother of all presidential campaigns, and we here at MOATS will be with you and with it every step of the way. I want to turn, if I may, to the International Court of Justice. Lipstick on a pig, yes, but very, very significant lipstick. The judgment that it reached by overwhelming majorities, in one case 14 judges to 1, no guessing who the one is. Uganda's inexplicably Zionist justice from Uganda on count after count after count. The International Court of Justice has thrown out every Israeli, American, British, Western representation about their lack of locus in the matter about the inability of the court to make adjudications on this or that, drawing on the Security Council resolutions now so extant that they've reached decrepitude. The resolutions of 1967, 242, 338, all the resolutions of the Security Council on the matter were codified now in a legal judgment. And a stentorian demand was made by the court for Israel immediately to vacate all of the illegally held occupied territories which have not become Israeli territories by virtue of an illegal annexation. Whatever Donald Trump thinks, whatever Joe Biden thinks, you see, a thief can never become an owner just by holding on to stolen property for long enough. It does not become your property. The Golan Heights, East Jerusalem, the West Bank, and Gaza are all one piece of territory, said the court, and Israel illegally occupies all of it and must cease and desist, must cease and desist and evacuate the 850,000 illegal land thieves who have settled on illegally occupied, stolen land. All that infrastructure that has been built, apartheid roads, apartheid walls, settlements that look like Beverly Hills on top of the rolling hills of the Holy Land, must all be vacated, cannot continue to be illegally occupied. And ipso facto, the policy of apartheid, the apartheid policy being the only possible way you could justify holding this territory in perpetuity, because that's what 75 years, that's what 55 years is. It's perpetuity. It's not a temporary occupation. Holding that territory decade after decade with no intention to return it, but refusing to give the vote to the people whose land you're occupying, can only be described as apartheid, can only be described as apartheid, in which the occupier has all the rights and the occupied people have none. The court has called it exactly as it is, exactly as we, in this great moral campaign, in my case for half a century, the court has vindicated us in every particular. It has dotted every I and crossed every T. The indictment is plain, but here's the rub. The court's judgment doesn't just condemn Israel as a criminal state. It designates as a crime any country assisting that criminal enterprise. So every airplane you give, every gun, rocket, shell, every tank you give, every dollar, pound, euro you give, every piece of diplomatic and propaganda support that you give to that illegal enterprise is itself ipso facto illegal. That's why there is a deadly silence from the British Prime Minister, a King's Counsel, a human rights lawyer, who now knows for him and for David Lammy, his plenipotentiary out there in the apartheid state, He's now acting illegally as a piece of politics. The ICJ deserves an Oscar. Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night. It is the mother of all talk shows.